Hey, sports dads. Are you ready for the best combination of fatherhood and football talk? Well, let's go.
It's that time to have a conversation about fatherhood and football and relation. Ready, set, hut, grab your kids and huddle up. We might get deep, but just run it up the gut. So put your jersey on and clap for the home team. It's the dad's thing, yeah, you know what I mean. So tell a friend to tune in if you heard me. To the best show in town every Thursday. Fatherhood and football, it's a dad's thing. Fatherhood and football, it's a dad's thing. Fatherhood and football, it's a dad's thing. Fatherhood and football.
Touchdown!
Welcome to a Dad's Thing podcast, Fatherhood and Football. I am James Simmons, your in-studio host dad of two amazing daughters. I'm a former middle school, high school, and college football coach, as well as a former wide receiver at D1AA Fordham University in the Bronx. Today we are joined by Jason Collins. Jason was a season removed from a Section 5 championship in high school when he came to Iona College as a quarterback. This was the 1998 season in which I served as the wide receiver coach. Jason has stayed close to the game, joining the staffs of his high school, Grace Olympia, Rochester Raiders indoor pro team for 3 seasons, then the coach of Rush-Henrietta Central as an assistant for 7 seasons before taking over the head coaching position in 2016. Today, Jason and his wife are raising their beautiful daughter and having a blast with football still. Jason, thank you for being on the show, man.
All right, good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, listen. First of all, let me do this. Coach Collins, okay? Although I coached you for a year, coached on the staff at Iona College for a year, you was just sharing with me, you've been in coaching for 20 years. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is my 20th season, yeah.
My goodness. So from coach to coach, I just had to share that and show you that respect. So I appreciate you being on the show again, man. And you're in the middle of a season right now, so it means a lot to me that you are taking a little bit of time out from preparation and all of that to spend a little bit of time with Coach. So how's things going? Are you ready to go? It's the playoffs.
It is. We finally got some guys back healthy. I've never seen an injury bug like we had, and this is our second season in the calendar year, so we've played a lot of football this year, and our kids have done a great job. And I love football time because you can move on from the regular season. Everybody's 0-0. It's a fresh start. And my message this week was anything can happen, and why not us? We're going to go on the road to a higher seed team, a team that's playing really good football. And all the pressure's on them. It's their home field. They're the higher seed. So our guys are ready. We got one more day of prep, and then we'll go let it rip Friday night.
Let it rip, be loose, and just let the training and the practice take over. And that's what we are as coaches, as players. We prepare, we train, and then when game day comes, we just let it go. So I wish you and the kids in your school all the luck in that game. Now you mentioned 2 seasons in 1 calendar year. We are in some different times in the last almost 24 months. How was that, having 2 seasons in a 12-month period?
It was anything but normal back in March. Here in New York, they tried squeezing every season into the calendar year. So I actually had about 4 days where I was doing football practice at 7 a.m. so that I could go coach middle school basketball at 4 p.m.
Wow.
And then we went about 10 days with crossover with basketball and wrestling at the varsity level. So we really didn't have our whole team there to start that spring season until 3 days before our first game. And of course, we had to play our rival the first game. The kids haven't played in about 18 months, and we went out there and won and played some good football. It was nice. We had 13 sophomores that we played in the spring. So, while it was a shortened 6-game season, that was a lot of football for those guys.
Right.
So when we started our off season and our summer this year and coming into the season, those sophomores had like a spring ball almost leading up to this season, and they've done a nice job carrying us this year. So it was challenging in the spring. We're the only school in our county that doesn't have a turf field. So we were getting on a bus at 6 o'clock at night, going to another school district. It was 8 degrees and windy and snowy. But our kids, it was football, man. And for the first time in 18 months, we were together on a football field and playing football. So, it was interesting to say the least. And then you got about 4 months, and we turn around and we're right back at it again in August, and back in fall football, which is nice.
Good stuff. I in my career, I played 11 years through, Pee Wee up into college, 11 years straight that I played. I only had 3 games taken away from me due to injury, and I couldn't play. And I know how I was raring, to get going, so to have a lot of the adversity, that the kids went through just to get some games in, that's really going to build a lot of resilience. And, you said it was like having a spring ball,
Yep.
and from you being a college player, been around, some bigger league, type stuff, how did you, use that to tell the guys that, hey, this is what it's like at the next level?
Absolutely. We had some guys on our team that were looking to play college ball, and that graduated there a couple months ago. And then we have some guys on our team now looking to play it. And I told them, I said, if you go to school in the Northeast, you're gonna get some cold weather. I said, and you're only cold until you step in between the lines. You're cold when you get off the bus or you walk out of the school. When you're in between the lines, your mind shifts to football, and you got to be locked in and focused, and you forget how cold it is or how wet it is or how snowy it is, and it's all business. And I told them, I said, this is a great opportunity for the young guys to get a lot of experience and extra practices in. New York State, they got rid of the 7-day rule. You're not allowed to go 7 days in a row, and they got rid of that. So we got to practice, almost 20 straight days at one point in our season, which gave us extra football for the kids. And, they loved every minute of it.
I bet. You bring me back, and I love these conversations because you bring me back to some of the stuff. And you talked about it's only cold until you step within the lines. I tell my kids today, my last football game was at Holy Cross, and we played in the snow. And the only thing that was clear was the marking lines, so we can see, every 5 yards. We couldn't even get the little one. So I try to tell them how tough I was in the cold. But I'm a New York guy, right? But I think my blood has thinned out a little bit out here on the West Coast. But, a great experience for those guys to really get a glimpse of what it's like at the next level. I did a little bit of coaching on the high school level of football and also flag football. And one of the things I tried to give the kids was just a little bit about what it's like at the next level, to give them a glimpse, to give them prepared. So when they get there, it's like, I know what this is about. So great experience for those guys. So, when's your next game, your playoff game? When are you guys getting ready for that?
Yeah, we're Friday night. We'll be on the road. So yeah, we get one more day of work in, and then Friday night we play.
Good deal. Want to ask you this and pick your mind as a head coach. With the adversity, how did that have to change your mindset? Like, this isn't normal. How did you go into that as a head coach to say, we got to get ready, we got to figure it out?
In the spring?
Yeah.
Last August, or 2 Augusts ago, before the season got canceled there, they were trying to delay the season. And what I did is I said, how can I keep our guys involved? Because all summer long, we weren't allowed to see them. And so we were doing a lot of the Zoom meetings, a lot of our installs. We were giving them home workouts to do. And, you kept that little glimmer of hope you were going to play. So I wanted to keep our kids engaged. And when we found out in August that it was going to be a no-go, I immediately contacted a bunch of college coaches that I know through the recruiting, being a head coach, guys that I know, through the game of football. And we had them come on once a week. So every Tuesday night, we would have a college coach come on and talk to our kids about the game of football and keep them connected. And the messages each week, we did it for 8 weeks, and the messages were incredible. And it just wasn't football. It was life. It was being a student, talking about the pandemic and hearing it from someone else instead of me. And even some of the guys had connections to the Rush-Henrietta community, and it was great. And then, when we heard it was going to get delayed to March, they let us start working out in small pods. And so we kind of built up to it, getting our kids back in there, getting them involved. But what we never did is we never shut off communication from them. we let them know through the whole pandemic that, number one, we're here for you as people. If you need someone, we are a phone call away. And then as well as the football piece of always keeping them, we wanted them to think about football, but not be obsessed with football. The pandemic posted a lot of challenges for different families in a lot of different ways.
Right.
For me as a football coach, I had to find that balance of, I don't want to overload them with football, because football, while it's important to us, it's not the most important thing. So once we got to March, the staff I have a great staff. They were prepared, and we had a plan. We knew it was going to be a short preseason because there's no double sessions anymore. And they also cut down the amount of days in the preseason. So we had one full week, and then we were in game week.
Wow.
And so, we had to follow all the COVID protocols. And like I said, going off campus to practice posed some challenges as well. But at the end of the day, we are very organized. We're planned, and we had a great plan of attack, and everybody did a great job from our assistant coaches to our trainer to our strength coach. And of course, the kids did a great job. And once we started, for me as a head coach, it wasn't normal. But what I did is I tried to make it as normal as possible with the way we practiced. And we didn't change our expectations. We just kept full steam ahead, and the kids did a great job in how they responded.
Right. I love the fact that it wasn't just the football, because football is important, right? Because when we don't have those things that we normally have our routines, we can fall off, we can get into a little bit of trouble. But the fact that it's not going to be all football, it's going to be about life. It's going to be about these relationships, and about us coming together. And that's what I love about the game and what it's given to me. You were able to reach out to numerous coaches on the next level to give these kids something that they may not have had if this didn't happen.
Right.
And I know I called you, hey, come on the show. And you said, Coach, no problem. And that's what the football experience has given us as players and now as coaches. So
absolutely,
I love it. I appreciate it. I'm in child development first and foremost, so I always look at it from that perspective of developing young men in the game of football. So love
absolutely.
it. I got to go back a little bit, take off the coach's hat and put on the QB's hat. 1998, freshman coming on the campus of Iona. What was going through your mind?
Oh, man. First of all I hope we have Nike sneakers. I remember being on my recruiting visit and asking Coach Fahey when I was sitting in the conference room, what kind of sneakers do you wear? Because I'm a Nike sneakerhead. I have like 60 pairs of Nikes, and he said Nike. And so I think he got right Nike, and then the diner across the street sold me on going to Iona. But, I thought I was prepared physically for college football. And when I got there and realized the grind of college football, that next off season, I knew I had to up the game a little bit. And then, in the late 90s in high school football, there wasn't as much film study. There wasn't the defenses weren't too complicated. I played on a very dominant team my senior year. Where we won the school's only sectional title. We were undefeated. So when I came to Iona, I knew a lot, but really digging into those X's and O's, I was really overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I remember, Coach saying, it was me and another freshman quarterback. We were it. So here, hey, book, man, you got 2 weeks to learn it. And, it was very overwhelming at first. But it made it that much more important for me to pay attention in those meetings, quarterback meetings, the offensive meetings, rely on the coaches, rely on the veteran players, and the coaches did a good job. They knew there'd be some growing pains with us as two freshman quarterbacks, and we both played in every game that year.
Yep.
We both had different skill sets, and, as we went on, we got more comfortable. But I'll be honest, the football piece, the X and the O's, I tell guys right now, it wasn't until my junior year where I was like, man, I don't need to look in that playbook. I know it like the back of my hand. And that's through off-season stuff and whatnot. So it was overwhelming walking in as a freshman, seeing some of these guys who had played 3 or 4 years of 1AA football. Coach, did a great job of preparing us. But it was a challenge. And I had to deal with being homesick at the same time. I remember calling my mom in tears, my freshman and my sophomore year being away from home. But, I stuck to it, and I trusted coach's word, and I'm glad I stayed there all 4 years.
Yeah, Coach Mariani is he's a gem, in this football
Absolutely.
world. Just beloved by so many, and has helped so many young men be who they are today. And
Absolutely.
I can totally relate to what you just said, because the playbook you had was the same playbook I had, at Fordham. And it wasn't until I was actually coaching in '98 that I realized I knew much more than I had given myself credit for, because it took me about 3 years as well to be like, I know what I'm supposed to do on every play, but to really visualize what the other four guys, are running routes and how that connected. It really took a little bit of time because it was different, and you said it, that jump from high school to college, it's different. You're the man in college, but everybody's in high school. But once you make that jump, everybody's just as fast, as big, and you got to put in the effort to work hard to get to be that player you want to be.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yep.
So, thanks for taking me back down memory lane a little bit about that. And, I remember, a lot of the same things that you remember at Iona. We were the first full-time staff. All the other staffs were part-time, so Coach Mariani came, first full-time head coach. He brings us on as staff, and we were able to really implement the program that he wanted to see. And you had 4 years. How was it for you throughout those years, and what are some of the things that you take from there? And I know you've got other coaching experiences as well, but what were some of the things you took from Iona, your time there?
Starting with my freshman year with that first staff, seeing a coach hire former players. You and Coach Gratian were there the first year. Coach Bailey came on. Coach Voorhees came on after that. And a few other coaches that coached with him at Fordham there. Just seeing that, number one, you knew there was a trust. There was a trust between the head coach and the assistant coaches. And you never, and I'm sure behind the scenes, coach had his finger on everything, the pulse of everything, but he let you guys coach. Yeah. And he knew your work ethic in college. He knew what kind of people you were. And that's something, when you reached out to me, I started thinking about, I walked in there not knowing anybody, and it didn't matter to the coaches. It didn't matter who you were. If you were there for your senior year, your freshman year, you guys had nothing but respect for us. You built this up. You were honest with us, which was the other thing. There was nothing that was hidden. There's no lies, honest and upfront. And the big thing I took away, not only that first year, but all the years, is these coaches, all of you guys, genuinely cared about us as people. When I walked into the office during the day, whether it was season or off season, the first question out of people was, how's your family? Yeah. Coach Mariani, how's your mom? How's your brother? How's your dad? How's school? How's classes going? Do you need anything? And you would have a 15, 20-minute conversation in the office with you guys and never talk about football. And, it was nice to see that side where, hey, they're my coaches, but they're also people that care. And, having a lot of younger guys on staff that had just gone through it, I think gave us a lot of confidence, in trusting you guys. And, I know I'm in the right place and we're doing the right thing here. So, all 4 years there, I felt respected. I felt cared for by every guy, every new coach that came in. And I think it all starts with Coach Marion. He's a big influence on me in college, and, wanted what's best for me as a person first, and then a student, and then an athlete. And, that's something that I take with me today. Yeah.
And that's the goal, to love people, right? Football is what we do, you know what I mean? But it's bigger than that. And I know even there, because again, you and I are a couple of years apart. I was, just a graduate out of college when I came on, and the lessons that I learned of how to prepare, be professional. But the biggest thing, and I always tell anybody when I talk about Coach Mariani, is it's always family first. You know,
Absolutely.
there was things that I had to do in the background. He said, you know what, football will still be here when you get here. So take your grandma to that doctor's appointment and be there for her. And that's how I do it today. Never forgotten that. So yeah, that's good stuff. Good stuff. And that's the stuff that you bring, to these young folks, today,
Absolutely.
as you're coaching. Want to ask you a little bit more about, some of your other coaching experiences. A question that I wanted to ask because I saw it and it was very interesting. What is it? The Rochester Raiders indoor football?
The Rochester Raiders was a arena football team that we had here. And, it started off and I watched it on the local TV channels a few times, and a former running back, one of the best running backs in Greece Olympia history, Eddie Long, he was actually UConn's leading rusher when he graduated, playing for Skip Holtz back in the day. He took over as head coach, and a year went by, and I said, man, this looks like fun. I love arena football, number one. And I love football. So, and it was during the off season from high school. So I reached out to him and said, hey, I'm interested. I don't want to be paid. I don't even have to travel. I just want to come to practice and see what it's all about. And so, I went to tryouts, started coaching. And that first day, I thought I would just kind of walk around and see what's going on. And he said, you got your whistle in your car? I said, yep. He said, here's a hat and a shirt. Get your whistle. I'm going to send you a group of guys, and you're going to start coaching for us. 2 weeks later, he said, get on the bus. We're going to Chicago for a game. So, he ended up seeing what I brought to the table, ended up as a paid coach, and coached 3 seasons there. We won a championship. We're undefeated there. Got to coach some great players. And it was just different. It was a lot different than high school. You practice 3 days a week. You're traveling. You're playing in a game, coaching in a game, and then traveling back in the middle of the night. I went to a lot of towns I never knew existed. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But once again, Eddie was, from the same high school as I. He played Division I football. He played arena football. And I have a lot of respect for him. And I got to coach with him during that time, and got to know him even better. And, just like all the coaches I've played for and coached with, he's a better person, than a coach. It's just, he's a great coach, but a better person.
Gotcha.
And he gave me an opportunity. And a few years ago, he was the head coach for the local all-star team here for high school. And he asked if I'd coach with them. So that was pretty cool that he thought of me. I had 8 players that year playing that game. So I got to go coach them another time. So, there's a lot of fun stories from coaching arena football. We could probably do a whole nother podcast on it.
In the off season, I'll call you back and we may do that.
But to see you coached at that level, with some of the guys we had, it was special, and it was some great memories.
Yeah. I remember watching a little bit of the arena football stuff, and I always thought, I said, maybe I could have done that. But I don't know. Fun stuff to watch. But, you've said it, you're a football guy, and would you say some folks are just born to be coaches or head coaches, as averse to, people just, stumble along it?
I think you hear stories of all different paths to coaching football. I'll be honest, I never thought about coaching football until I graduated at Iona. I didn't know what I was going to do because I didn't have a job. I had gone to, different combines and tryouts, and it didn't work out. And I'm like, how am I going to stay involved in football? It is me. Football is me. And the game meant so much to me and gave me so many opportunities. And, I moved home like the second week of August, and I called my coach and from high school and said, can I just come be a part of something? Once again, reaching out. And he's like, I got a paid job as a JV defensive coordinator. So, right then I'm like, all right, I'm into this coaching thing. And, I was hooked. I was hooked. So I think everybody has a different path to it. as a player, you're so caught up into what you have to do as a player in high school and especially college. And then when that ends, it's very humbling.
Yeah.
And it's kind of scary of what am I going to do? I've been engulfed in football for all these years, and now it's not here. So I was very fortunate enough to get into coaching right away. And, here I am in year 20 now.
Man, year 20, still doing it. And you're not doing it alone. You have your wife, you have your daughter. How does that work for you, the balance, and having them be a part of it, if they want to be a part of it? How does that look for you?
Yeah. Well, if we go back, we're going on our 11th year of marriage. And when we started dating, I told her I'm a football coach. I coach high school football. And at the time I was coaching arena football and going to the playoffs. And I said, for the next 2-3 weeks, I'm probably going to be traveling and whatnot. And the first season we had of us, being together, we lost in the semifinals, and she saw how hard I took it. And then the following year, we won a state title. We practiced all the way and played Thanksgiving weekend. And I remember her saying, "Is this how it's always going to be?" And I said, "What we did this year is going to be very hard to do again."
Yeah.
Only 2 public schools in our area have ever won a state title, and we're one of them. And she's not a very sports person, to say. So at home, there's a great balance. Because I'm in it all the time with football. And when I come home, I don't have to talk about it. I don't have to explain it. I can just be dad and husband. And my wife is incredible. She supports me in everything I do because she knows it's a passion of mine. And my daughter, being 9 years old, as she got older, she saw how much time and effort I put into it. But also, as she got older, I got to bring her to practices. So during the winter, I would bring her in the gym with us.
Yeah.
So she could see, number one, what I'm doing when I'm not home. And also it was a chance for her to see how my players work. I love her being at practice. She was at our scrimmage this August. I love her being able to watch our guys work. And that's what they do. They work, and they work very hard. And I explained to her, why they work hard, because they want to improve. They want to be better. I said, but at the same time, they're also really good students in the classroom. We have some incredible student athletes. And so I can make that connection with them. And as I come home, she asks questions. Did your guys work hard today? Did they have a good practice today? Did you yell at them today? I said, I never yell. I speak loudly so they can hear me. But there's, the balance, there's a great balance here at home, great support system here. I say it all the time. My wife is the MVP, not only during football season, but when I'm coaching middle school basketball. And, I'm just as busy during the off season with football and stuff. And she gets it. She gets it. And I love her support and understanding. And, I'm pretty lucky.
Yeah. Well, amen to that. And, it's great to see, that your partner and going to the games. And I see the 3 of you in the pictures. And I think I mentioned a little early, whether it's win, lose, or draw, those are your foundations, your rocks. And there's always a smile on your face, at least on the pictures on Facebook when I see it.
Absolutely. I come home. If we play a home game, we play in the daytime, and I come home and there's drawings and there's messages in the driveway with chalk. And I come inside and there's a banner up and there's pictures that she draws me. And, it's what it's all about. You come home and that's family time. And I love it.
And enjoy it. We all know it goes by quickly, especially with the little ones. You and I are in the same age bracket with our girls. So just enjoy it as much as we can, definitely.
Absolutely.
And the lessons you've learned, and I love how, she asked you those questions. Did the guys work hard? Was practice good? And things of that nature. Are there any other things that the game of football has given to you that you're able to share with her to help her growth process?
Absolutely. I think it's more of, my demeanor. And, I was taught in high school and in college to always be level-headed because there's a lot of adversity in football. There's a lot of challenges in practice and in games. And as much as you prepare in the game of football, there's always something that pops up that's going to test your reaction and your response.
Always.
And, I talk about it now as a coach. It doesn't matter if it's ups, downs, if it's positive or negative. It's how are you going to respond that's going to define you in that moment. And I think, it's the same thing in having a child. You can read all those books. You can have all the people tell you about having a kid and raising a kid, but every child is unique and every situation is different and things pop up that you're not prepared for. And it's been a challenge for me to keep a level head and not fly off the handle and panic at times. It's been really challenging, but my time as a quarterback, I've had those good games and I've had the bad games. And in life, you have those good days and you have the bad days. And when I come home and I look at my daughter, I have to remember, she's not the reason for X, Y, and Z taking place. And I know she's looking at me and my demeanor and how I handle adverse situations, whether it be on the football field or as a teacher, as a dad, as a husband, and whatnot. And so, I think all those challenges in football and how I handled those, carry over to now being a dad and guiding her down the path of life, which is more challenging than ever.
Yeah, definitely. Especially as they get older, like you said, there's always something different, and I've been told parenting doesn't get easier. It just gets different, and
Absolutely.
I think you just spoke to that. Even in the game of football, there's always something that's going to happen that's going to test your response, your resolve, and your go get itness, how you go after it and respond to something that's adverse. That's one of the things I've loved about the game, because you're a quarterback, you'd be throwing the ball to me, and I tell folks, for every play we have, we can run it a whole lot of different ways depending on what that defense does. And we have to be able to adapt and adjust to make it successful. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Great stuff, man. Great stuff. This is coming from my quarterback, in college, 20 years coaching, and just loving life. And again, I love being able to see you do your thing, the stuff that you give us on Facebook. And that's been a great connector for me, because these relationships of football are important. And, I'm on the West Coast, you're on the East Coast, so we're far apart, but are still able to have a connection.
Absolutely. I tell our guys all the time, they might not realize it right now as a high schooler, but, I love sports. Sports are great, but there's just something different about the game of football. The relationship between the coach and the player, is so much different than any other sport. And, that just doesn't end when you graduate. And that's in a couple of weeks when we have our banquet, when we say goodbye to our seniors, we always tell them, you are one of our players forever. And, you're always going to come back and call us coach. I play golf with my high school football coach all the time. I call him Coach Hill, and I call Coach Mariani, you're Coach Simmons, like that forever, once you have that relationship with your coach and your teammates. Football, that fraternity, you hear it all the time. The fraternity of football is just strong, and nothing can tear it apart. And, the game can teach you so much, and it's a great game. So,
and I'm glad that you got bit by the bug when you did to want to be a coach, because not only are you a coach, but you're an educator, and you're preparing not just football players that you coach, but kids in the classroom, and all of the things that you're talking about, your demeanor, role modeling, just the calm and cool and being prepared for obstacles in life. Those are the things that you're teaching your students as well. So your net, is huge, and the impact that you're having is phenomenal, so.
Yeah, I am, when I started thinking about what I was going to say, I'm in an incredible position. I'm a dad and a husband. I'm a varsity high school football coach. I coach 7th and 8th grade basketball, and I work in a kindergarten through 3rd grade building as a 2nd grade teacher. And I get to work with all kinds of different people, all age groups, from all kinds of backgrounds. We have an incredibly diverse school district and school that I work in. And I'm very fortunate to be able to, like you said, have that impact on, not only 2nd graders, not only my 9-year-old daughter, not only my 7th and 8th grade basketball players, not only my 9th through 12th grade football players. So I don't take that for granted. I think it's very special. I take it very serious. And the one common theme, and we talked about it before, is just building those relationships. Those second graders come in that first day, they're going to know I love and care about them from day one, and going forward. And it's nice to go to the middle school and the high school, and I see all my former students, and they come up to me. They don't hide. You might get a couple shy ones, but they don't hide. And I think they come up to me and say hello, and they're excited to see me, and it's genuine. And that makes me feel really good about what I did for them in the classroom. So very fortunate.
Yeah. Every now and again, I'll run into a young man, that I've worked with in my line of nonprofit, running residential programs, helping kids, in juvenile justice system, drug and alcohol. 5, 6, 7 years later, and they'll bump into me, and it's always, "Hey, Mr. Simmons." You know what I mean? And I think that shows that respect that you give, to that young person, and that love, that authenticity, and just care for them. And it carries on, you know what I mean? So keep doing
Absolutely.
it, man. Keep doing it. I want to give you this, man. The game of football, really important in your life. You're able to pour into so many folks. What would you like to leave the audience about this game, what it's given you, and what you're able to give? What would you like to leave the audience?
The game, if you respect the game, it'll respect your back. What you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. And it can open up a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of negativity about the concussions, about injuries. But if you really dig deep and do your research, the game is safer than ever. And you hear stories all the time about opportunities that it opens up, now, from kids all over, from the inner city to the suburbs, from the East Coast to the West Coast, now even into some other countries where football is growing. The opportunities to network with people, to learn about being on a team. Because like I said, football is a different sport. It'll humble you a little bit, but what you put in is what you get out of it. And I always tell our guys, there was a coach that coached a while before me who said effort equals results. And the bigger that effort is, the bigger results you're going to get. And, football taught me a lot, gave me a lot of great opportunities. Probably went to a college that I had no business going to academically. And, I have great memories and met a lot of great people. And, I am where I am today because of the game of football, no doubt.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. And the game is great. In the last episode, I talked about, preserving the integrity of the game. When we see some folks go astray in the game that we love, we have a duty to call them out on that, because this game has meant so much to so many, and it's precious. So, Coach, I appreciate that. I appreciate you taking the time. And yes, I did call you Coach. I want to wish you all the best in this game coming up, for your staff, for your kids, for their families, for your school. Just wishing you the best.
I appreciate that. Thanks. It was great catching up, and you're doing big things out there in the West Coast, man. Send some of that weather this way.
I'll try. You don't want none of the weather now. I just was out of power for the last 24 hours, so I won't send you any of that. But when it warms up, I'll send you some of that your way.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate it. And I will talk to you soon. Good luck.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Coach.